Hi everyone, it's Andrea here from Admire PR and I'm with Bryonie Madine from H2R Selection. We got chatting the other week about how HR policies can help you recover and avoid a PR disaster or potential PR disaster. So I've asked Bryony along to have a chat about that. But first of all, tell us, how did you get into HR? Did you sit at school thinking I must become an HR guru, whatever? I'm betting not, but maybe you did.
Yeah, back when I was at school, you had the opportunity to sit at a computer and pick what you wanted to do as a career. I think my only choice was a lifeguard at the time. So no, I wasn't thinking of HR back then. I didn't think I even knew what HR was. So yeah, so no, I've been working in HR now. So I've been working for H2R Selection for 4 years coming up. Prior to that, I've done lots of roles supporting people overcoming their barriers, which is kind of on the same lines as HR. So working with lots of people, different problems, and trying to overcome them really. And I worked in larger organisations in an HR function as well. So that's how I really got into it. And now working in a consultancy, so working with lots of businesses with all different issues when it comes to people, really.
Brilliant. And do you, I'm guessing, like having working with so many different people, that must be really fun, like the different problems that come up.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously different industries as well. It could be one minute it could be the manufacturing industry, next minute it could be the tech industry. And obviously in all these different industries they have lots of people with different personalities, different things tick their boxes, different things rear them up, different things motivate them. And I have to obviously adapt really quickly to those different environments and be able to understand completely what each role and each individual is going through. And act as if I'm within that business, and I've always been in that business. So yeah, lots of challenges, but I learn so much every day about a different type of person, different type of role, different kind of industry.
Oh, that sounds great. I mean, I'm in a people-based industry as well, so yeah, I understand how that feels to get all that knowledge and learn all these new things.
Yeah.
I don't think we can have a conversation. We're in November in 2021. We can't have a conversation about without talking about the current, like, the climate out there in employment. What are you finding are people's issues at the moment? What are the things that are coming up that you talk to people about?
Probably say things like social media is a big influence right there now. Obviously, there's so many different platforms. Some of it's way above my head to do with generational, just as a starter. So that's definitely had a big impact on different problems within the workplace. So one of the first things I do when I introduce a new client to our business is obviously have a review of their current contracts and policies, just to reassure them that they're in the best place to be at low risk, pretty much, for the business. So lots of them don't have certain policies in place, or they may have just Googled a policy and just use that until a problem comes up. It's usually people come to me or HR when there is a problem, but I try and kind of initiate, preempt any of these problems happening by setting up and drafting policies. So one of those particular policies around social media would be implementing a social media policy, because the company, is all about their reputation, protecting their business, and also protecting the employee as well. And it's something that's new to them, and it's very much on the lines of PR. Is it a PR problem? Is it an HR problem? Whose problem is it? Who
Yeah.
has to fix it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a sad fact of the pandemic in the last 18 months that we've seen more and more, like more people are on social media. There are some people out there who are sadly in a difficult situation, are unhappy because of all the things, many different factors. And I've had, as a PR, I've had more calls asking for advice, like, do we respond to this, or one of our employees has been attacked on social media, or one of our employees has posted something we don't think it's appropriate, and it has seemed to have increased. So what would you say, if there's someone listening now and they're not sure, they're employed and they're not sure what their social media policy is, and what would you say to them? What's the best thing for them to do as an employed person?
Well, as an employed person, first of all, I'd ask if there is a social media policy. I think what people need to bring to the table really is common sense with it. You know, there is a fine line between, you know, professional and obviously personal, but however that comes across, doesn't matter what position you are in, if it once it's online, it's online. It's never just, you know, it's never hidden. It can be brought up at any point. And they have to remember that even though they might not even be employed by that particular company anymore, and they might have said something about working for them or made a comment or a certain process in the business they didn't agree with, and they think, well, I don't work for that company anymore, that's still come back to them, and it's still going to tarnish their what's the word, reputation, along with the company's reputation. And that's obviously what the importance of having social media policies there for the employee and the business as well.
Absolutely. So, you know, in that situation, these policies are lasting for longer than the term of the employment of that individual. So, and that's like, that protects both of them, doesn't it, when they're moving on? And you know, I know from my past, we might have a non-disclosure about certain things when I've moved on from somewhere. You know, not taking your clients' names and that sort of thing, but I've not been employed by someone for a long time, and there were never any social media policies in those days. So it's interesting to see how you know, it's becoming commonplace, and it, you know, needs to.
Definitely. And also, if you look at, you know, Twitter, for instance, all the celebrities on Twitter, they're always naming and shaming, tagging people in for a debate and for some controversial conversation and, you know, followings and things. And I think lots of people, like, even if an employee made a comment about like a sporting event, say for instance, you know, people support different teams, and there's always going to be a divide. There's always going to be a, you know, an argument, bit of banter, but it could always get blown out of proportion and go down the wrong road. So that's something to be, you know, to be aware of. And that's also keeping workplace issues confidential as well. That's very important, and that's obviously the whole reason that, you know, we implement social media policies to protect business.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're right. I mean, it's a lot of it is common sense, and just with that knowledge that you put something on the internet, it's there to stay. And it's something that I quite often go into schools, you know, do CV training, interview training, and I'll say to the kids, like, you know, if you're going to apply to be a work experience person somewhere or to get an internship, they're going to look at your social profiles. Like, that's, my sister's like, she's 19, and I'm forever saying to her, like, just, you know, let's remember people are looking.
Be aware. I do it. We do it from the recruitment side of things. Like, if you're hiring people, the first thing you do is, let's just look at their Instagram, let's look at their Facebook. Just don't know, do you?
No, you don't know. And it's that, you know, people say, oh, well, it's on my private account. Well, it's not really private. So it's just being aware, isn't it, and being sensible, and then knowing where to come to. So as an employer, if you are concerned, it's knowing that you can call someone like myself, and I might say, okay, I think you need to speak, this is an HR issue for the moment, so you know, I pass them on to someone like you, Bryonie, or you get to the point where you think, oh, actually there's a bit of reputation and we need to kind of make sure this response is okay, then it's where we can work together. When I started out in PR sort of 16 years ago, I don't think I would have remotely thought of working with HR.
What about the right and wrong?
It wasn't like on my agenda at all. So I just find it fascinating. Can you see, looking ahead to next year, and I know that at the moment there's a lot more jobs out there than people who who wanting jobs, it seems. Can you see an end to that? What's your unemployment and recruitment side? What's your prediction really for the next few months?
Oh, I wish I knew. But yeah, so it's a crazy market at the moment. There are lots of candidates, but there are obviously lots of roles around as well, and lots of people are, you know, some candidates or employees are staying loyal to their organisations because they've seen them through the pandemic. Some are seeing, oh, we've got real talent here that we can maximise, and they're putting the odds up in relation to their, you know, their contract pay or the salary and so on. So they're the ones doing the deals, and they're the ones like telling the employers what they want. So yeah, it's a strange time at the moment. Very busy as well. But hopefully it'll calm down a little bit. And the ultimate goal is that there's enough roles for all the people out there. That's the ultimate goal.
I mean, I see there's a lot of talented people out there, definitely. And there's a lot of really amazing, despite the issues the country's had and globally over the last 18 months, there's a lot of really good stuff going on. So I hope it balance itself out.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Oh, thank you, Bryonie, so much for talking to me today.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. And I'll make sure I put all your contact details. If anyone's got any questions, when they see this, they can get in touch.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant.